So, I did my senior project on sports and youth in America. So for my idea, basketball has been a huge part of my life for the last 10 years. I've played since when I was 7. I've watched it, played it, gone to camps. So it was clear when we got our senior projects that I wanted to incorporate basketball for mine. The challenge was figuring out how I could do that. Adam had a similar project to mine. He did a 3-on-3 tournament with basketball. So I figured I could do a camp. Coaching basketball is something I'm definitely interested in down the line. So I figured it would give me a good experience with teaching kids, working with kids. So I decided to do a camp, but the only challenge would be, who would I donate the money to? So for my donation, I wanted it to be to an organization that I'm familiar with and that I generally know about and care about. So that led me to nhsportspage.com. Some of you know what this is, but what NH Sports Page is, they're a website. And what they do is they go to boys' high school football and basketball games. They bring a camera, a microphone, and they cover it like a real NBA or NFL game. And they put it on YouTube, they interview the players of the winning team, the coaches, and it's just a really cool organization. But the issue is, it's non-profit. It's profit, but it does cost money to drive to the games. They have to eat on the way there. So they've been asking for a lot more donations. So once I figured all this out from their website, it was clear I wanted to donate my money to them. This leads me to my essential question, which is, how can organized sports have a positive impact on youth in America? One of the main points I got from my research was how academics are affected by organized sports. Now, almost all schools require some standard for grades to be met in order to participate in varsity or JV sports. And I think one excellent example of this is Bow High School. We require a student to pass all their classes in order to play, which is a good rule to have, but I think it can be taken a step further by coaching, the school itself, and that's where the true impact is made. And one person who I think does a fantastic job of this is my mentor and also the varsity basketball coach at Bow High School, Christopher Gundro. He does many different things for all of his players that can help us succeed in the classroom and on the court. For example, last year, after second quarter, all students who made high honors or the honor roll received a free t-shirt with the Bow basketball logo branded on it. He also checks up with students. Me and myself, he is always on my back for my always fluctuating AP calculus grade. And it definitely has helped me and motivated me to keep my grades up so I can play. Another example of this is from the movie made in 2005, Coach Carter. Coach Carter is based off a story that happened in California in 1999. Coach Carter was a coach at the Richmond High School basketball team in 1999. And when he arrived at Richmond, it was clear that there were some problems with the academics. There were plenty of talented players on the school, but he wanted to make it about more than just winning basketball games. The state required all players to maintain a 2.3 to play. He raised it to a 2.9. He also required students to attend all their classes and sit in the front row of their classes as well. The team started out really hot. They were 9-0. But he found out their progress report. He saw their progress reports, and they weren't meeting their goals. So he suspended all players from playing until their grades were up to the required level. They ended their undefeated winning streak, unfortunately, because they had to forfeit 2 of their games, which caused a lot of outcry in the community. However, they did end up meeting their goals eventually and made it all the way to the state tournament in the state of California Division I. Also, according to the statistics for Richmond High School at that time, only 4 kids should have graduated from that team, because only 33% of boys would end up graduating from that high school. Not only did 8 graduate, 6 of them went on to college, 5 of them receiving scholarships. Another thing that my research taught me was how sports can teach core values. My quote up there is by Brian Tracy, a renowned author for sports psychology. he also states that sports can teach many different values such as camaraderie, teamwork, perseverance, and hard work. Another example for this is Bow basketball. What Bow basketball has taught me is how hard work can really pay off. I got my new coach, Chris Gaudreau, my junior year, and he really makes us earn everything that we receive. Even though I'm a senior and I was a returning player, I knew that nothing would be guaranteed heading into my senior year. So I knew I would have to work hard, and thus far it has paid off, as I'm now a senior captain and I start for the team. Team chemistry is also taught in sports, which also, again, is encompassed by Bow basketball. We haven't exactly had one yet due to some planning issues, but we're in the process of trying to have a team dinner before one of our games, and we all spend time with each other off the court. Another thing my research led me to is how sports can be considered an outlet for youth. Now, the quote up there is from Dallas Cowboys All-Pro wide receiver Dez Bryant, and he directly attributes his success in life to football. Obviously, he is making millions of dollars for playing football, but like he says, he might not be alive if he hadn't found football. He worked hard at it, he had a natural gift, and now he can afford to buy his mom a house, his family, and he can care for them, and all of his family. Whoops. Even though he came from a really troubled background. Another key to this, though, is you don't have to become a pro athlete, or even a college athlete, for sports to have a huge impact on you. I myself use basketball as an outlet for me, and I'm certainly not going to be in the NBA one day, but I know it's something I can do, whether it's in my driveway, the YMCA, practice, games. When I'm struggling in school, having any kind of problems, I know I can go to basketball for help. So this leads me back to my actual event for my senior project. I spent a lot of time trying to market, schedule, and this is one of the biggest takeaways I got. It's just how much planning it can take for an event. And even though I put up flyers and posters and I tried to talk to kids at the middle school for my event, the results from my first basketball clinic that I held were a little off. My first clinic, I actually only had one person show up, which was probably the low point of my project. It was really discouraging for me, but I decided to work even harder at it. My mom, she's an employee at the middle school at the 6th grade level, and she was really instrumental to this for me. She helped me get announcements up at the school, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before my clinics, there were announcements for it, and she helped talk to her students to get more kids to show up. And by the last one, 4 weeks later, I had 11 kids show up. There were a lot of other trials and challenges throughout my clinics as well, as I had to deal with a few difficult parents. Some kids had different things in mind than others as well. Some kids were there to have fun, other kids were there to learn things, and having to cater to all these needs was definitely a challenge. And it actually taught me how sometimes making everyone happy just isn't realistic, but I did the best that I could. So, what did I learn from all of this? What were the results? I learned a lot about teaching and dealing with kids and parents. And while I'm probably not going to be a teacher when I'm older, coaching or some kind of career in basketball is absolutely appealing to me. And at the youth level, that's most likely where I'd end up, so I think it was a really valuable experience. I also learned a lot about planning an event and marketing. Another thing I learned was just how hard it can be to keep 10 kids' attention for 2 hours at a time. Because a lot of kids would be dribbling balls, talking, and it made me appreciate all the hard work some teachers really do. I also think it was a valuable experience for myself because I'm interested in coaching. And that quote up there, I read it as positive. That's from one of my campers. I didn't learn a lot, but I had a lot of fun. I mean, he was one of the campers who was more interested in having a good time and just playing basketball for 2 hours, but I still took it as a positive quote. He wasn't too interested in learning, but he still had fun. And just one last thing, I'd like to give a huge thank you to Mr. Gaudreau, my mentor, not only for this project, but for the fantastic job he does as the Bow basketball coach. and also my mom for helping me out. And that's it. Are there any questions? Sounds good.